now that you found time to grow, and you're looking so much louder without that dead weight dragging on. And your eyes shine so much.
Put some of the antibac gel on my hands before I start, because I don't know what nasties I've been touching in the woods before I touch any more nasties. Right. So the knife I'm using today, I've got a Mora, and I've got a Poundland saw that I've modified and put a tenon saw blade on it, so it's a lot finer cut. So first of all, we'll skin. This is a little Muntjack who's been in my freezer, so I've thawed him out. We need to start by working up the leg. And start to skin him off, and then work and keep as tight to the skin as you can, because the more you take off with the skin, the less you've got to scrape off when we come to treat the hide later. Now, Muntjack are actually not an indigenous species to this country. They were introduced in about 1925, and they've bred so much they're actually becoming a nuisance, and they reckon in a couple of years' time they're going to be the most numerous deer in the country. But the problem with the Muntjacks are because they eat so much and they're quite messy eaters, they eat a lot of roots and shoots and kill trees off. So they've actually become a bit of a nuisance. But nobody tends to eat Muntjack. They always want the more expensive cuts of deer. But if you know someone who hunts, you can get one of these for sort of 15, 20 quid, which is quite a lot of meat. And if you think, in today's economic environment, 20 quid, there's quite a lot of meat on there. Easy food. Feed a whole family for quite a while. So I'm just trying to keep the fur on the surface as well, because obviously it ends up covering the meat. There was a study done at Yellowstone Park actually talking about keeping deer numbers in check. There's a video on YouTube, I'll stick a link on it, but it's how wolves change the paths of rivers. And basically in Yellowstone they introduced wolves. They hadn't been in Yellowstone for years, so they introduced them, and instantly as soon as the wolves appeared, the deer started acting differently. They stayed away from all the grassy plains that they'd created by eating all the little trees, and went into the woodland. So the grassy plains started growing trees. Then, because there was a complete change of habitat, you ended up with more beavers, more birds of prey, more small animals, more mammals, and then the soil erosion, because you had more trees, more plants that the deer weren't eating, just because they were feeding somewhere else, and they weren't breeding as much, just because of a limited amount of wolves, the banks of the river stopped eroding, and it actually changed the flow of the river completely. Which I thought was pretty interesting. Always the fiddly bit there. also a lot of muscles just inside the fur layer, which are like involuntary twitch muscles. If you see like a nature documentary where you've got a bison or something, and you see flies all over it, and you see the actual hide just twitches to shake the flies off, there's all muscles down the sides of the hide that are just like little involuntary twitch muscles, and as soon as you get an itch, they just flex to keep off flies and ticks and various nasties that are out there to kill you every 5 minutes in Africa. There, start working down. There we go. Because I ordered this already gutted and head off, I'm not actually sure if this is a male or a female, and I don't know masses about muntjac. Done bigger deer in the past, but this is still a bit of a learning curve for me. Quite a lot of people actually like doing this with just a bit of flint, because it's a it's a nice sharp edge, and it's supposed to be pretty satisfying to do it with flint, which is fair enough. I'd like to have a go, but I don't know. I like the trusty Mora, because it just shows that anyone can do it. Then. Spilled my beer. Huh? As for determining the age of this, I'll have a guess in a little while once I get into the rib cage. But there are different ways of telling. You can tell. The saying "never look a gift horse in the mouth" is because you can tell the age of a horse by how many teeth it's got or how worn its teeth are. Because as they get older, they end up with different sets of teeth, and it works exactly the same with cows and deer. So if I had the head, I could probably give you a close idea of how old it is. But then all I've got to go with on this will be how much cartilage is in the bones, because with time cartilage turns to bone through ossification. So the more cartilage there is, the younger it is, the more bone there is, the older it is, which will make a difference on how we cook it, because an older one, you're really going to want to not cook it as long. What am I talking about? You want an older one, you're going to want to stew or casserole, whereas a younger, like with spring lamb, you'd be able to just barbecue most of it straight. This sort of thing's so much easier to do when they're hot. The rabbits usually cut the skin really easy. This is not one.
Beer. Beer.
to wash the worst of the fur off. So this is just to quickly dry it out so I can transport it home. I'm in Wales at the moment, so I can get it back to sunny Essex. So I'll leave that on that board, and then it'll sweat. I'll shake it off, put some more salt on it.
You're looking so much younger, and now that you